Everybody's good.
All right. She had that bacchiotomy.
Yeah, she
Had a
she
bacchiotomy.
had a nerve burn.
Oh, that doesn't sound fun at all.
No, she's got a nerve issue in her back that causes her a ton of pain, and this is the last ditch effort before they do the actual bacchiotomy.
Gross.
Yeah, so hopefully this works.
All right. Well, yeah. Hopefully she's up and running again sometime soon. You know.
Doctor said I need a bacchiotomy.
Yeah, she's actually been moving around. That's the
that's
crazy
good.
thing about this. It's only
Science.
like a little 5-minute procedure where they quite literally they cut you open with two tiny little holes, and they stick like the world's smallest soldering iron in there, and they go burp, and they burn it back.
It's computers.
Yeah, that
It
part.
is. That's what it's 100% what it is. It is computers. Who is that says that?
Joe Walsh.
Joe.
That tracks.
Boy, that's tough. That's tough.
I bet she's looking about like that now.
It's computers.
Oh yeah, he said he looks exactly like he sounds on that
Hold
drop.
on. Can you're on that page right there, right?
Yeah,
Play that drop.
It's computers.
Certainly not.
Huh. Do it again.
It's computers.
First year we took it to the limit.
Wow.
Huh. That's gender bending right there. We have Joe Walsh.
That's
and
why I
female-
thought that was the same
female Jags
dude.
fan right there. Wow, that is something to behold right there. Wow, I hadn't put that one together until just now. All right, look, who says that we don't do anything worthwhile? We contribute to society. You kidding? I should be an investigator. Do you see that there's a couple from Texas that was
There's probably
listening
lots of couples from Texas.
deep in the heart of Texas?
Maybe in a throuple or two.
There was a couple in Texas that was listening to a true crime podcast, and they were like driving through the area where this crime apparently happened, and they were like, "There's no way he could have made it from here to there."
And he actually got somebody.
Got him out of jail after
Out of jail.
the guy's been in prison for 39 years, and it was this couple who was sitting there like listening to a podcast. Is like, no, there's no way
Like, we're doing this drive right now. He could not have made it that far.
that would be wild.
How did somebody not put that together?
I don't know. But that kind of stuff happens all the time. Like that was part of the what's the guy Adnan? What was his name? What was that? Serial.
Yeah, the first one of these that
the
really
very
garnered
first,
a
yeah.
ton of attention.
Because that's the whole thing is that people were like, well, how did he get from one place to the next? And they were like, I don't know. Just going to let it go. It's like, where are the lawyers here? No, nobody's going to check this one. That seems like where you should start. Doesn't it seem like where the starting point would be is could this person
Isn't that
get
part of
from
it?
where the crime happened to where the alibi is? Matlock showed me that. Like
Don't you
almost
have-
every single Matlock episode.
Don't you have to put the guy at the scene? Isn't that part of this?
Yeah.
Ask Lee Harvey Oswald.
I don't know, Danny. I don't know, man.
It's computers.
No, but yeah, you're right. Like the weapon
Mm-hmm.
and then the person actually being there. Those two things should be there. And
if
that's
the
like
glove don't fit, you must quit.
That's right. That's like when Curb Your Enthusiasm got a guy off of murder charges because he was at Dodger Stadium instead of, I don't know, being all murdery.
Being all murdery.
Yeah.
You can
Which
also
might
do.
be one of my favorite, like, that of all the shows that exist, that is the show that got somebody off of murder. It's like, just Larry David, like, throwing his hands up in his seat at Dodger Stadium, like, I don't know what to tell you about that. But yeah, putting somebody at the scene of the crime, it seems like an important part of, I don't know, locking someone up for infinity.
Yeah.
You know? Nope. Look at that.
Look at you with volume on your computer.
I just turned on the stream. I just turned the stream on.
There you go.
You can watch the show now.
You can.
You can watch Danny stare through your soul. That was my favorite part of you admitting to your murders, is you just looked right in the camera, and we put you right on the scene right there, brother. We just placed you at a few of them. You can watch at 1080 The Fan at 1080 AM The Fan
There you go.
on YouTube.
Somebody beat us to the spot.
Yeah, that's so weird.
It happens.
I can't believe that happened. So come and watch us. It's very clean audio, and you get the visuals to boot. And I put Die Hard on the TV
Oh, did you?
for everybody yesterday.
Nice.
Because you weren't there. So during the breaks, I put Die Hard on
There you
so
go.
they could watch some action films
I like it.
while I was eating my lunch.
Somebody asked the other day, like, why is some show on with it on mute? And it's like, That's a fair question. But we usually put it on one of the sports stations, and there is occasionally like the breaking news stuff that I will see pop up on there.
Yeah.
And that's why it's up there.
Sometimes you just know the shows. You just want to watch them.
It's true.
Oh, why the sports shows are on?
Yeah.
They were asking that?
Yeah, because I think it was like McAfee was on, and
Yeah,
it was
was
like on mute, and it was like,
Oh.
yeah, there's still stuff scrolling on the bottom that I'll occasionally read.
It's through the ticker, and
Yeah.
if breaking news comes up, you're like, oh, hey, there you go.
Because we have we have pivoted mid show when something happens immediately.
How much money do you think the person that came up with the ticker is worth now?
Oh yeah, no, that's a great thing. It's a fantastic thing.
I wonder though if it was just like some employee of a company and they don't get any, like they didn't get it.
Oh no,
It's
they
just
ripped it
like-
off. They're like, oh, thanks for that.
No,
Yeah,
they're
yoink.
not getting anything for that.
I bet the company, like it was just like for some person at ESPN's like, hey, I got this idea, and they're like, perfect. That goes right out of your $32,000 a year salary, sir. And they're like, oh,
And
cool.
we'll monetize it, and you get jack squat from it.
right?
The
Yeah.
old Chirons, man, they'll get you every time.
Yeah. All right.
It's computers.
It is. It's computers taking it to the limit. Even those computers are.
I got nothing. We can make it more fun.
Yeah, you got booze over there.
Maybe
Getting all,
booze.
you're gonna be all getting hammered drunk. Hey, we got breaking news actually. Wes Lynn, tight end, Baron Naoni.
Mm.
He has just committed to Oregon State.
There you go.
2025 4-star tight end.
Oregon's
that's
had
a-
some tight ends lately, man.
Yeah,
Had some big boys.
Where did you say, Oregon or Oregon State?
Oregon State.
Oregon State.
The
I
state
mean,
of Oregon.
the
He's
state
he's
of
from
Oregon.
West Lynn.
I
Yeah.
got you. Okay, okay.
Yeah, no, like, they've had like 4 or 5
Nano.
like 4-star guys over the last couple of years at the tight end spot, which
Well,
is kind of weird.
This brings me to something else, though. Anthony Newman, who you can hear him on Saturdays.
They're doo-doo.
No, that is Anthony Newman, who says they're doo-doo.
Large man.
Oh, great guy, too.
Yes, he is.
Just a fantastic human being. He coaches, he's a defensive coordinator at Westland for John Eagle's staff. And here, like, they're the #1 team in the state in high school football, and it's not particularly close.
Sure.
Like, there is a big gap between them and Central Catholic, who's #2. The way that Anthony is talking about the guys that are coming up through that program, and mind you, Anthony has been on staff that was at Central Catholic before, where they had a team that had Ryan Nall and Cameron Scarlett and Blake Brandell. Like, they had 3 guys that played in the NFL on a high school team in Oregon. The way he's talking about this West Lynn crop that has this kid who's just a sophomore,
Oh,
or he'd be a junior. He'd be a junior.
Yeah.
He's class of 25.
Okay.
They're going to be better next year. Like, they are, like, we could have like a freakishly good class at Westland High School.
it's so weird to hear West Lynn and good football.
What?
Really? When we were growing up, they were not a great program.
Oh, yeah, they were. West Lynn played in a state championship game when we were growing up.
What year?
97.
Okay, so
And then, like, Westland's always been really
not
good.
not when we were in high school.
They were good when we were in high school too. They had what was his name? Dude who went to play at Kansas State. Rob Mamula, I think was his name. He was a freak linebacker. They won that league quite a few. The Three Rivers League. It was them and
I don't remember the
it
beginning.
was
of
them and Lake Oswego. No, Westland's got great. They've always been a really solid program, like
Interesting.
really good program. Cade McNown, anybody?
Well,
The
I
great
remember,
Cade McNown.
I remember the post like 2007 like on.
Yeah,
them
Ron
just being
Chappell did a
running,
great job.
running over everybody.
He did a great job there. Chapel in the 90s, early 2000s.
Hmm.
Yeah. The Westland Lions.
I don't remember them being good. All right, maybe I'm wrong.
They're a different level now.
Yeah, now they run through people.
They are a different.
They're a beast now.
Level now. Okay, hey, let's get sporting. Wow, we were
Like,
sporting.
we're sporting a little bit.
We were
To
sporting.
be fair.
Actually, it was probably too much sporting.
Yeah.
Is what we were doing.
Move
right
it back
there.
a little bit. We'll blame it on the fact that I was out yesterday.
That we sported early?
Yeah.
I think we should go somewhere else. Like,
Oh.
we should not sport. We will not, sport and not sport at Orr coming up at 2:30
Oh,
with Jeffrey Rust. We've got NFL college football galore. We got an update to the Harbaugh scandal at Michigan. Now we have Marines getting suspended because of it. That's a sentence I didn't think I'd be saying.
that's not surprising. Marines always get caught. They're not sneaky enough.
Wow.
That's why
Just
you went
called him-
Marines.
Just called him a dum-dum.
Well, I'm just saying, if you ask anybody in the military if they would do something over again, the first thing they'll tell you is they wish they would have gone to the Air Force.
Chair force, right? Isn't
Mhm.
that what they call you guys?
Nicer things, much
Nicer
more
things.
comfortable.
Yeah. And like not like on like
The front
the
lines.
first people to be sent in on
Yeah.
the first wave
You know,
of humans.
speed
yeah.
bumps.
Yeah. Wow. Good Lord.
I can say it.
I'm not going to say anything right now. You believe this guy over here? Goodness gracious. All right. Hey, we have Weekend Balance this week. Some great matchups are heading our way. Which is the best? Danny Dusty on the Fan.
What's your opinion?
It's thick, it's meaty.
you know, he ends up at the Vikings.
Yeah, but does Spanos actually pay the money?
probably.
Oof. That's
He may actually last longer than 5 years there because nobody cares, and that's the problem is that he rubs people the wrong way.
yeah, but it would get so toxic.
It'd be,
So
it
toxic.
sure would. It sure would. We'll have updates to that story coming up a little bit later. Our poll question today, at Danny and Dusty on Twitter, which is the best game of the football weekend? We've got a great football weekend. And it's balanced this weekend. It's not, we have a loaded college weekend and a meh NFL. It's not a meh college weekend and a great NFL weekend. Got a little bit of both that you can sprinkle in here. We boil it down to 4 games. You can feel free to comment with the game of your choice at Danny and Dusty on Twitter. Which game is the best? Number 7, Penn State at number 3, Ohio State. Number 17, Tennessee at number 11, Bama. Lions at the Ravens. Dolphins at the Eagles. Currently, we have Penn State, Ohio State leading with 54%. Dolphins, Eagles, 30%. Lions, Ravens, 13%. And a sultry 2% is the Bama, Tennessee game, the 3rd weekend in October.
SEC, it doesn't mean more here.
Yeah, not out here. You take
Nope.
that, SEC.
I'm
Would take that and send it to Feinbaum. See, hey,
Ooh.
Pow! Pow!
You don't
Nobody
matter.
cares about Bama and Tennessee.
I like it.
Pow!
Don't care. Yeah, that's a more accurate probably. I'm leaning Penn State, Ohio State by a smidge with Lions, Ravens just nipping at the heels.
I think if you could have a 5th option in there, you could squeeze in a Utah and USC.
Yeah. That was the one that made the cutting room floor.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna put that on there,
But we only had
Damn.
4 options.
I went Tennessee, Bama instead.
Huh.
I think that one probably should be on there. Too late now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Too late now. Maybe I'll put below it like if you think Utah. No, you
No.
can just comment. And like that comment, whoever comments on there.
Mm.
At Danny and Dusty.
Indeed.
I'm really excited for this Penn State Ohio State game though.
I am too, because you're going to get to see just how for real both these teams are, because they have played nobody. So it's going to be interesting to see just how much McCord has progressed through the year as a quarterback, and how good Aller is as a quarterback, and how good those defenses are. I can tell you right now, Marvin Harrison Jr., really bleeping good. So the pressures that they're going to put on each other is going to be interesting.
I would say that Ohio State has played somebody and
Notre Dame, sure.
Notre Dame is a good one. And Penn State played a really good defense in Iowa. I mean, it was just the defense
just
that
the
they played.
defense, yeah.
But it was a good defense.
Sure. I mean, it's very, to be fair, it's a very good defense.
It was a good little defense. Ohio State has won 6 straight in this matchup,
Mhm.
and it has been pretty
Lopsided.
It's really worse than that, because if you go even further than that, if you look at the last 11 matchups, Ohio State's won 10 of the last 11, and it gets even weirder in that if you look at just like in this little run that we're in over those 11 games, Penn State has held a lead in 4 of the last 7 games in the 4th quarter. They've held the lead, and they've found a way to lose. In 4 of the last 7, they've held the lead in the 4th quarter under James
Wow.
Franklin.
I would probably say the biggest component of that is quarterback play. Just going off the top of my head, when was the last time Ohio State or Penn State had the better quarterback?
I don't know.
Hackenberg?
No, Trace McSorley was way better than people give him credit for.
In
And
college,
McSorley
for
was,
sure.
that's right. He was a great college quarterback. And I would say that maybe there was a year in there, but I can't really put a finger on it because Ohio State's been loaded at
That's what I'm saying.
quarterback.
That's-
They've been loaded.
That's where Ohio State has been able to close games, is because they've had great college quarterbacks.
Yep. And this game is always exciting. It's going to be a fun one in Ohio State this year. Last year, it was Ohio State 44-31, pulling away at the end. But these are usually really tight games as well. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped for that game, because I do believe that this is also the game where people start taking a deep breath and going, okay, maybe Ohio State is good. And all of the panic and fake fear that gets thrown out there, all Ohio State has done is win all season long, right?
Mhm.
And people tried to, downplay the worthiness of the Notre Dame win, especially in South Bend, Indiana. after Notre Dame lost another game. But then Notre Dame goes and just mops the floor with USC last week.
I think people downplay the Notre Dame win because I don't know how much Ohio State won that game as much as Marcus Freeman threw it in a fire, dumped a gallon of gasoline on it, dropped a bomb on it from orbit, and just dove face first into stupid in the final 3 plays of that game.
Yeah, but like I understood what he was going with on the taking a penalty thing a little bit.
Losing 18 inches.
Yeah, and he was just like, well, I mean, they're gonna score. They're gonna score anyways, because what if you run a guy on late? What happens?
You can maybe get the free play.
No, it is a free play,
Yeah.
and they score anyways, and you don't do anything. And
But 2 plays in a row?
But people were really upset that he did not have somebody. They didn't have a signal for somebody to jump off sides. The crowd was so loud, it doesn't matter. Nobody's looking
Nobody's
over
looking
at the sideline right then, anyways. Like, what?
It's
And
not.
so he's like, oh, I got a signal now.
It's not that it's the 1 play. It's that it's 2 plays in a row.
Yeah.
That's just like.
I just think
Wow.
Ohio State is scoring no matter what there. You know, I mean, you can go back and you can say, well, people thought about Washington this past weekend. But I think Ohio State, and when Oregon stopped them on the 1 yard line. But Ohio State was getting in the end zone one way or another down there inside the 1 yard line. So he did screw it up, though. He did screw it up. And that is not to be debated.
Yeah.
He screwed that up. Full send. But you have that game. I think the Utah and USC game is going to be really fun, and we'll dive into that game a little bit later.
Mhm.
But for everybody just to say that USC is going to bounce back this week, you're playing Kyle Whittingham.
You're playing Kyle Whittingham, and for those wondering, the line is 7. So the Vegas is not saying this is going to be a game that USC is running away with.
It's not going to be that easy. Even though I mean, I can't believe that line is 7 with
Mhm.
how poor the quarterback play is for Utah.
Mhm.
But essentially, what they're saying is that styles make fights, right?
Yep.
And Utah is the perfect team to beat USC.
They
See last
yep.
year when they did it twice.
Or see Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They don't have a they don't have a great quarterback play back there. It wasn't like Hartman killed them.
I mean, Hartman is pretty damn good.
I mean,
though.
but-
he's better than any of the dudes that are rolling out there for Utah right now.
Yes, but I mean, like it wasn't like Hartman threw all over them. It was
No.
you know, you don't necessarily need to have to be able to do that. You just to beat USC right now.
We can
it's-
say it. USC is soft.
Yes, you just manhandle them.
They're soft.
Yeah, you manhandle them, and you keep Caleb Williams off the field, or you turn him into the worst
Yeah.
version of himself.
Right. Right.
Yeah, if you turn the guy who's been the best player in college football over the past 18 months into a pumpkin, you got a good chance of beating the hell out of that team. It's pretty simple.
You got Tennessee, Bama too. It's gonna be a fun one. The rivalry games are always great in Tuscaloosa, though. I think that this is gonna be the coming out party for Bama once again. I warned of this that people will be starting to be like, "Hey, well, Bama may deserve a shot in the college football playoff after this week." To get that out of your heads,
Can I just say,
Their loss was to
what's
Texas.
the dog's name? Tennessee?
Smokey.
Smokey. I'm a big Smokey fan this weekend.
You're a big Smokey fan.
Big Smokey fan this weekend.
That dog nips at Alabama players
Love it.
all the time on the
I
sideline.
hope they
I don't-
train. I hope they train that dog for that.
Just to nip Alabama
They-
football players.
They just that crimson color. They just said nope.
We need more live mascots.
Oh, live mascots are the best.
Yeah. Come on, Bama, bring out a real elephant.
Right?
What do you,
A little field hazard when you get a big old elephant pile on the 40-yard line.
Mike the Tiger?
Mm.
They have Mike the Tiger at LSU.
I'm still waiting for somebody to go full gladiator and like have it on the chains and like have it break out of the chains
That's
and
the-
maul somebody.
I think that would be the best theater you could ask for. And it would really ruin the live viewing experience of a game in Death Valley. It would really put the death in
No,
Death
that's what I
Valley.
was just saying. What are we doing talking about here?
Well, especially if they got Brian Kelly.
No, let that one breathe. No, let that one breathe.
I bet you Dabo would be okay with paying players then.
No, he wouldn't.
You got a 5-figure life out there. That's what you boys are being paid for.
Dabo's gonna quit before guys get paid. Remember?
It's the dadgummest thing.
Name, image, and likeness the God as he sends you to him.
That's the dadgummest thing. Who
It's the dadgum mistake.
Tiger eats your face.
with Dabo Swinney? How does he sit in a living room and anybody buy it anymore?
I would imagine in
Like-
the South they're
I was
dumb.
gonna say there's a whole lot of dumb people out there.
I'm not gonna lie. Like
A
I
lot.
would just sit there. If you are another coach of another program, all you have to do is just slide a recruit the quote
Liar, liar, pants of fire.
that the day that players get paid is the day I find something else to do.
Mhm. I will quote the
It's
wonderful
ridiculous.
George Carlin. Remember, think about how stupid the average person is,
Yeah.
and then think about how dumb everybody else is underneath that.
Yeah,
It's
there-
just, half the people are dumber.
I knew of a college program where, and it didn't go well, but I know of a college program where when recruits would get there, they would say when they'd actually sign and show up on campus,
Mhm.
they would get beard pay for them, whichever freshman was lied to the most in their recruiting by the school that they were applying for.
Wow. Tell me your best lies.
Yeah. Just like they were lied to, which is, and they all knew it. But if the scale tipped your way, the furthest you would get your beer paid for.
Just remember, it's not a lie if you believe it.
They didn't. That's the problem. That's the problem. All right. So we got those games. And then in the NFL, it's an awesome weekend of NFL action. And look, we have got two of those games that we have on this poll are AFC versus NFC. And I think that this weekend we get a special little twist to the AFC and the NFC with the top dogs really, well, not the top dogs, but some of the top teams in each conference playing against each other. What will we learn? That after Rust with SportsCenter.
This is a Football Friday edition of Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Stanford's. The classic American steakhouse has exactly what you've been craving. Visit them in Clackamas, Tannersporn, or online at stanfords.com. First on The Fan, homecoming tomorrow for number 9 Oregon, welcoming Washington State into Autzen Stadium. The Ducks, 20.5-point favorites. Coverage right here on The Fan starts at 8 a.m. with Ducks Game Day live from Autzen with Dirt Dusty and Anthony Newman. Kick at 12:30 on ABC, and stick around after the game for the Ducks post-game scoreboard show. Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson took all first-team reps at portions of practice open to the media today. He is officially questionable Sunday against the Colts. Giants quarterback Daniel Jones questionable Sunday versus the Commanders with a neck injury. Bears quarterback Justin Fields out Sunday against the Raiders with a dislocated thumb. Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs is expected to play Sunday against the Ravens after missing the last 2 weeks with a hamstring injury. Over in baseball, both league championship series continue today. Astros and Rangers tied at 2 games apiece with Game 5 in Arlington. Coverage on 910 ESPN Portland starts at 1:30. Justin Verlander, Jordan Montgomery is your pitching matchup. 2:07 first pitch on FS1. And the doubleheader continues on 910 ESPN Portland with Game 4 of the NLCS. Diamondbacks looking to square the series with the Phillies at 2 games each in Phoenix. Christopher Sanchez on the hill for Philadelphia. Joe Mantiply for Arizona. It's a 5:07 first pitch on TBS. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on every game at Spirit Mountain Casino with a sports book powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Leif's has been Portland's #1 choice for decades. Why? Because the other body shops trade insurance referrals for cheap, shoddy repairs. If you cut corners, use imitation parts, you get referrals. The results? Surveys find up to 90% of discount repairs are poor, even unsafe. Trade-in value? Forget about it. Leif's repairs vehicles right. Pre-loss, factory parts. It's your choice. Trust the insurer or trust Leif's. We're #1 for a reason. Leif's, the finest in collision repair.
If you're hot.
Did you ride your Jags?
We all did.
We all rode the
We
Jags,
are all
yeah.
starting the week 1-0.
With a road dog.
Also, that line was hilariously easy.
Yeah,
I
there was
looked at that
real
and I went,
thought.
huh?
There was real thought that Trevor Lawrence wouldn't play. Turns out he's fine.
Yeah, so you asked me to put my lines in, and I was just getting home from the doctor yesterday, and Jimmy Garoppolo had already been ruled out, and Trevor Lawrence had basically been ruled in, and I was like, okay, I'm still going to ride the Raiders because it's the Bears, but also Trevor Lawrence is playing, so how the hell are they not going to beat the Saints, who their defense is fine, but my God, they can't play offense.
The thing that sucks is that if you're a Saints fan, you had a chance to win, and I feel awful for Foster Moreau,
Especially considering what he's been through.
Oh, dude. Yeah, he's a cancer survivor. He's, by all accounts, a hell of a good dude.
Great dude.
He's from New Orleans, played at LSU. He's now playing for the Saints. It's like the great story.
Derek
ball
Carr is
hits
his
him-
guy.
That ball hits him in the hands and falls incomplete. He was wide open. That guy catches that ball 19 times out of 20.
Hell, you could probably say
99
9
out of 100. Like he
Yeah.
catches that football. That was the one time he didn't though. And I feel so awful for him. But it's like also I don't feel bad because you're in the NFL, man. That's a ball you need to catch.
No, and that's how you get there, right? What was a weirder occurrence last night? Foster Moreau dropping that ball or Trevor Lawrence running the way he did?
Foster Moreau dropping the ball. Trevor Lawrence he uses his legs a lot.
But off the busted wheel though. Like
yeah, he didn't change his game at all. And
No,
I think
that's
that
not-
was
I was blown away by that.
And that's the stupidest thing that coaches do. It's like we were talking about this with Deshaun Watson, like
Yeah.
full participant in practice.
Mhm. Still
And
unsure if he's
still
going to
unsure.
go.
Now, his ass better be playing if he's a full participant in practice on a Friday.
If he's taking reps with the ones on Friday, he better be going on Sunday.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about that coaches use this and it's like the Willie or won't he?
Yeah.
No.
What am I worried about preparing for the crappier quarterback? Like, come on.
I'll tell you one thing. Who do the Browns play? The Colts? The Colts aren't preparing for P.J. Walker. They were preparing all week as if Deshaun Watson would play. And if P.J. Walker plays, they're like, okay.
Oh, so lesser Deshaun Watson is going to play. Okay.
Yeah. Now, if you're like playing the Saints and the backup is Taysom Hill, and you're like, all right, well, maybe now that's a drastically different.
It gets a
game
little
plan.
weirder, sure.
Most of it is the scheme doesn't change.
No.
The guy who's playing quarterback does, and
You typically want somebody who mimics your starters so you don't have to change stuff.
Yes, and I don't know. It's all stupid.
I hate. Can I just say, not just NFL,
Yeah.
not just football. Can I just say, in sports, I hate the whole state secrets thing. It drives me
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
You're not gaining anything. I promise you, you're not. Well,
No,
unless you're Michigan, maybe you are.
Michigan isn't really gaining anything from that either, because they were going to crack those codes anyways. Just they did it a little bit earlier.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, you don't need to have Sean Payton put your play sheet up type bad, but I mean, eventually you'll get there.
No, but that we have a lot of crossover matchups this weekend, like the Raiders and the Bears. Who isn't waiting for that one to happen?
That is
That's
an
the
affront to
grossest
God.
game.
That is an affront to God.
I hope
That's
we
what
get
that is.
bad weather.
It's
if
both
God
backup quarterbacks, so it's going to be Poyer and Baggett.
I thought it was Aiden O'Connell. It's not Aiden O'Connell.
That sounds like it's going to be Hoyer.
Oh, and then Badgett.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
If God had a sense of humor, he'd make it rain. But it doesn't look like it. So it's gonna be like 55 and partly cloudy. That to me
turn into a mud bowl.
Soldier Field
Mud Bowl.
rain
Yeah.
and just say
Nothing but handoffs.
good luck, guys.
Nothing but handoffs.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic. But no, we get some actually good games where we may learn something about some of the upper echelon teams in the AFC and the NFC, like that Lions-Ravens game. I'm really excited for that Lions-Ravens game.
I think that's
Stinky number.
stylistically that makes a great game.
Stinky number because Baltimore is favored by 3, and you do. This is like the last.
Were you surprised by that?
Yeah, this is the last game that Detroit has to play in the elements.
Because then they go either home in the dome or
Yeah,
playing
well, they have,
domes.
or excuse me, one in Chicago. I'm not counting that. They play into Chicago in December, but other than that, they're either at home or
Down south.
in a dome
Yeah.
somewhere else. So, like, their road games from here on out are Chargers, Saints, Vikings, Cowboys, and the Bears one time. So this is the last game that they really
Last
have
elements
the
game.
fear of the elements, except for Chicago. I know Chicago, but you can get away with that one. But this game is stinky, and I know why. It's because both running backs were hurt heading into the week, but Jahmyr Gibbs
I was
is going to be a
saying,
go
yeah.
for that one. Dan Campbell saying he's got to get ready to take the full workload, but he's dealing with a hamstring injury.
Which is never
And that
great.
could just pop up again at any time in this game. But you've got two really good teams. And Detroit is explosive on both sides of the ball.
Mhm.
And that's why that line stinks for me. Like, it's a stinky number, -3 for the home team, saying these two teams are equal on a neutral field.
Yeah, I took the Lions +3. As I say, I think I took that line.
Yeah, but that also is one of those ones where Vegas may know something. You know,
yeah,
like that's
maybe
an
something
odd
funky there.
line.
Maybe there is some injuries behind the scenes that aren't being disclosed. But that would never happen. No, that could never. No way. That could ever impact anything. That anybody could have a little bit of a knock that might factor into something here. Also, the Ravens are always injured, and if you look at their injury report,
Yeah.
they are severely injured. But that's nothing new. And look,
Mm-mm.
you have to give Harbaugh credit for continually putting a team on the field that, despite usually leading the NFL in games and plays lost, that or the right there,
Mhm.
that they're not only competent, they're good. It is incredible how good they can be week in, week out with so many
Yeah.
impact dudes missing.
I mean, are there
it's
people
witchcraft.
that don't give him credit for that? Because I
think it's just kind of glossed over because we
I think-
recognize how
yeah.
great of a coach he is.
I think one thing that has happened is that we used to talk about this all the time, but now
It's
it
just a given.
happens every year, and it's just like that's what the Ravens are. It's what John Harbaugh does.
Which
is
it's
he-
incredible.
He is incredible.
Like, you think
and their
about
front
teams-
office is incredible too, because that is depth, that is scouting, that is having guys in the reserves ready for you and ready to go at all times. Like, they do a phenomenal job, and they've had a turnover in their front office too, and in their player acquisition. That's nuts to think about.
I mean, I'm looking at their list right now. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys on IR, and they've already got 4 guys listed as out and 4 more listed as questionable. And looking at the list here, it's 4 corners. Excuse me, 5 corners. They're one of their outside linebackers. Both their outside linebackers. One of them is lost for the season, and then obviously J.K. Dobbins, who unfortunately he's lost for the season after the torn Achilles. But you just go look at this and you're like, there's 5 corners on this list with 2 of them lost for the season. That's insane.
You think J.K. Dobbins ever is like,
Why
my
me?
name is literally a joke?
No.
You know, like,
Oh, he's hurt.
weird thing. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, they got a lot of guys out. But that, again, that's nothing new for them. And all they do is just kind of pluck along and churn out wins left and right. But it kind of just seems like one of those Lamar Jackson just says F it and goes off games.
He hasn't had one yet.
Nope.
He hasn't had one yet.
Nope.
It would be timely
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. The other game that is of note is the Alabama quarterback reunion. Tua heads up to Philly to take on Jalen Hurts. Sunday Night Football. Giddy up, Buttercup. Let's go Eagles Dolphins.
That's another one where Tua's put up big time numbers this year already. Jalen Hurts has yet to have a good game. Jalen Hurts has yet to have a game where Jalen Hurts is the story. And I mean the story
Yep.
in a good way, not in a, oh God, Jalen Hurts is still not playing great.
He had the 3rd worst quarterback rating last week.
Mhm.
This all signs pointed this year to that team having a regression, but the team has not had a regression. The quarterback has.
Mhm.
And
Defensively up front, good Lord.
one thing that I think is incredible to see with how good that roster is that Jalen Hurts is going through it right now, and they're still 5-1. And they get the 5-1 Dolphins coming in this weekend. That game is going to be insanely fun because of the matchups that will exist inherently between the both offenses and defenses. Because Philly, in that defense that you're saying, that front and being able to get home, look, Tua hadn't been hit this year.
I have a reeling suspicion that one of those 2 monsters, either Jordan Davis or Jalen Carter, who both have put up insane grades
Yeah.
according to every metric, are going to get a hold of him.
But then you have a secondary too that has Darius Slay, Bradbury, Edmonds, Blankenship, Bradley Roby. Like these guys, they're loaded across the board.
They've been ball hawking
against the Miami Dolphins, which has speed on speed on speed on speed on speed. And I can't wait. I honestly, that game is so exciting to me. Sunday Night Football is going to be must-watch television because of that. And it truly is must-watch when you have those matchups, when you have Mike McDaniel, who, if they're going to try to cap this defense and take everything underneath, watching all of that speed run across the field and seeing that defense try to scheme and chase it is going to be nuts. It's going to be absolutely nuts. 503-864-6326. Hey, that's a Vancouver Ford text line.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Games to be excited about, there's a lot coming up this weekend in college football and the NFL. A picture is worth 1,000 words, sometimes maybe even more. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. It's actually kind of funny. Terry Stotts was hired as an assistant coach last year or last spring.
Yes.
To be one of Adrian Griffin's or his lead assistant and Adrian Griffin's first job as a head coach in the NBA. And that was like, hey, that's awesome.
It's a good hire.
Terry's back in the league.
Terry Bear back with Milwaukee.
Yeah, in a place that he's been a head coach before.
Closer to home, all like with Giannis. Like you're long before Dame gets there. Like Drew, Chris, Giannis with Terry. Their issues were like half court offense. I'm like,
That's
you
pretty good.
guys, I would be surprised to see turn things around more than Terry.
Well, Terry Stotts left yesterday after Dame arrived.
Yeah.
And there was few details when we cracked the mics yesterday on why he left, but now we're getting a lot more of those details.
Yeah, and I saw some people saying, wow, did Dame really force Terry out? Damian Lillard and Terry Stotts have a fantastic relationship.
Yeah.
That was not one that Dame wanted to end in Portland.
Well, it's one that he didn't want to end in Milwaukee if you
No.
take his Instagram picture that he posted too, because
With
it's
him and Terry dapping themselves up out having a bite.
Yeah, they're at a restaurant and they're doing like it's actually just like the meme, the handshake meme, where it's like the white guy and the black guy shaking hands.
Yeah,
It's the arm wrestling kind of hold that they have going on.
That's the Arnold and Predator. It's Arnold and God, I can't remember his name. Super Jack dude. Oh my God.
Lou Ferrigno.
No, Predator cast.
No.
Jesse the Body.
No.
Black dude.
No.
Carl Weathers.
Carl
That guy.
Weathers. Yep. That's it. I was going through it.
A lot of steroids in that movie.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Don't put that on Carl Weathers.
Yeah.
But they have that picture, and it's like, no. Dame wants him to be there.
Yeah, Dame just posted that on IG like an hour ago. So to let you know where he stands.
This is where I was yesterday. I understand this in Terry walking away, because when Adrian Griffin, you get your first gig as a head coach, you don't want any question on who the authority is on the coaching staff. You want to have help. You want to have guys that are respected, but you don't want anybody to question who is the authority on that coaching staff. Like when Chauncey Billups brought in Scott Brooks. This is the analogy I used yesterday. It'd be as if, like, what if you bring Scott Brooks in and then you bring in Bradley Beal right after, and it's like he's the star player of the team, and Bradley Beal is looking at him going, you and I were together before, but this is that relationship on steroids.
This is like Dame and Terry were together for 9 years,
and it wasn't contentious ever between Dame and Terry.
I mean, Terry put Dame in a position to be one of the best offensive players on the face of the planet ever. So yeah, the relationship and then off the court, like they're great. And that's the thing about this, is that you're not going to find people in the league who have bad things to say about Terry, either professionally or personally.
No.
And this
be a little short and be a little red assy, but guess what? He's a coach.
He's a coach. That comes with the territory. The thing about this is, and what I've heard behind the scenes, is that basically Adrian Griffin MF'd Terry up and down in front of the entire team, which newsbreak, coaches disagree regularly.
Yeah.
Where that stuff happens is away from the players.
Mm-hmm.
You do not cross that line, especially with somebody with Terry Stotts' resume. That is an NBA championship winning assistant coach, a very successful head coach. Like, you do not do that, especially as a first-time head coach who there's a difference between Adrian Griffin and Chauncey Billups. Adrian Griffin is a journeyman player.
Mm-hmm.
Chauncey Billups is a borderline Hall of Fame player.
Mm-hmm.
The level of respect that you're getting from the players from day one, drastically different. Like, if this was Chauncey and Terry, you probably wouldn't have to worry about, like, who has more gravitas in the room, because Chauncey's going to have the bona fides.
For sure.
Adrian Griffin does not have those. Adrian Griffin has also been an assistant coach for a long time and didn't get head coaching opportunities, probably because of stuff like this.
Yep. Well, he's going to have a very successful team regardless of it.
It is an issue, though. It is, like, right out of the gate. I mean, Dame putting that on IG is not nothing.
Mm-mm.
That's a shots fired
Weird
kind
move.
of situation.
Kind
like,
of is a weird move.
He's letting him know where his allegiance lie.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And think about
it's pretty clear.
Yeah, and think about this. You're going into this season, and you've got a rookie head coach who probably should have been like, Terry, my bad, done everything. And the Bucks, I guarantee you, begged Terry not to leave. And Terry said, you know what? I've worked for toxic leadership before. I'm good. I am too old and I am too far down this path of and that lets you know just how bad it really was.
Terry's like, I'm gonna go work for Philly.
Don't think that's happening anytime soon. But yeah, I am right now. This is like it's a little thing, but it's enough of me where I'm raising my eyebrows where I no longer believe in the Bucks to be the title winner. That's how disruptive I think that is.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that kind of rift
That's
before
pretty
the
big.
season even starts. Yeah, I think it is because I mean, look, you're not dealing with kids who are going to let this like roll off their back. Like Dame's a professional, but he's already looking at his head coach, going, "What are you doing, man? What are you doing?"
Yeah. Well,
now they're going to question Adrian Griffin
moving forward.
moving forward.
Well, that's brutal for them. I just feel like there's enough maturity on that team to get through it. You know,
I hope so because they don't have a head coach with any experience to help navigate those waters.
No,
that's the thing. It's like,
but they have plenty of experience on the floor. Actually, more experience than probably anybody else in the NBA right now. When you think of Lopez, Middleton,
both Lopez's.
Yeah, both Giannis, Dame.
Bochamp's the only kid on that team. The rest of them are all long
and they've all
vets.
been through it, either winning rings before or playing in this league for a decade plus.
Old team.
Yeah, it is an old team, but really damn good.
But yeah, I'm more than raising an eyebrow at this team.
Wow. Okay. Eyebrows raised. 503-864-6326. That's Vancouver Ford text line. We head into hour number 2. Let's start talking about this slate of college football in the Pac-12. Ducks hosting Washington State. You got Utah, USC, Washington taking on the Arizona State Sun Devils, and then UCLA, Stanford. We take a look at the slate ahead next. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. All right, to hour number 2, let's start with a little college foosball, huh? We talked about the national slate and got into a little bit of Utah and USC as well, because that is the marquee matchup in the Pac-12, obviously, this week, because it's a top 25 duel. You got what are they now? 19? Is that what they dropped down
SC?
to? Yeah.
16.
16?
18.
18.
18.
18 versus 14.
Mm-hmm.
And 14 is the team without a quarterback. Like, quite literally.
Or a backup. Or a
they're
third
not.
string.
Yeah, they're playing with their third and fourth string quarterbacks, and that's the 14th ranked team in the country.
Mhm.
USC is a touchdown favorite, but if you look at just what Utah does well, I mean, if styles make fights, the style may favor Utah at this point because they
They're
don't
front.
need the quarterback.
No, it's their front. And that's the thing is USC, one of the things about USC last year that I think went under discussed was just how good Travis Dye was for them.
Mm-hmm.
He was phenomenal in giving them balance, and they were able to just run the ball at will with Caleb Williams being the quarterback that he was. And that part of their offense is gone. And that, number one. Number two, Caleb Williams is trying to make home run plays on every single drop back right
It's
now.
gonna get him killed.
Yes.
And it's not. It will not translate to the NFL.
No.
I saw somebody say it looks like he's trying to hit a 5-run home run every time.
Yes, and that's things like he's capable of making incredible plays literally every time he drops back. It doesn't mean he needs to make it. Like Lincoln Riley sets up and runs an offense designed to make it easy.
And Marshawn Lloyd is good enough to run the football.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not. I don't think the running back position necessarily is the issue. The offensive line is dreadful.
Mhm.
And this is exactly what we said heading into the year, is that, like, yeah, they'll be okay at the beginning of the year because, one, their schedule wasn't very tough, and two, they're healthy. Now you're starting to see, as the schedule gets tougher, they're getting dinged up. On both fronts, they are getting thin. And that's USC, and that's a Lincoln Riley problem. And in the era of the portal, USC has brought in, I mean, you said it the other day, the second most guys only to Colorado, right?
Yes.
Well, you can fix these issues if you evaluate the talent correctly, because it's not just the defensive line. It's not just a defensive issue.
No.
This is big human being issue that
Yes.
USC has right now. And it's on their offensive and their defensive lines. And that's a Lincoln Riley issue.
Yeah.
That is it's your, I don't want to say talent acquisition. It's your recruiting, but it's not just recruiting because it's your
talent
portal.
acquisition. No, it
It's
is.
your portal.
It's talent acquisition. That's what this is. We can call it what it is.
And they're just ineffective at doing it with the massive human beings that it takes to win football games.
Yeah, and they thought they did well enough. They went out and they got the biggest names in the portal, with the exception of Birch going to Oregon, and there was another big tackle that went somewhere else.
Where Johnny Cornelius went to Oregon as well.
That was another one. Okay.
I mean,
But with the exception of those two guys, USC basically gobbled up all of the big name transfer portal guys on both sides of the line.
Then you have an issue with your coaching.
Mhm.
And I don't think enough. I think his name is Breland, the offensive line coach at Oklahoma, who stayed when Lincoln Riley left. He's been there for a really long time. He did a fantastic job there and continues to do a fantastic job. And USC has got, they got their struggles, but they are too talented and they are good enough to beat this Utah team by 7 points. But any idea that this is going to be USC is going to be comfortable and they're going to cruise to this one?
I'm never comfortable playing a Kyle Whittingham team. Are you insane?
No, because I was shocked when I read this, but this is the first ranked conference opponent to play at the Coliseum since 2019. USC has not had a ranked conference opponent at home since 2019.
That makes sense because the bad losses that they've had over the last couple of years against ranked opponents have all been on the road.
Yep.
Rice Eccles last year, was it Oregon 2 years ago? You just go down the list. It's like their bad losses to ranked teams have all been on the road.
Yep. And their defense is good enough to win. They're number 1 in rush defense, number 3 in pass defense. Utah is heading into this week. They are going to be every bit the test that we think they're going to be. And then offensively, look, I don't get how Utah does this. because their quarterback play is so horrific. Do you know what they rank nationally in time of possession?
Utah?
Yeah.
They're either going to be very high or very low.
Yeah. They're third.
Yeah, you
They're
go.
third nationally in time of possession.
Taking their sweet, sweet time.
And they're not like a top 10 rushing team. I don't even think they're a top 30 rushing team nationally. They don't throw the ball effectively right now. What I think is amazing is people are like, they're doing this without Cam Rising. Hell, I'm guilty of it too. Cam Rising is not going to make them more explosive on the outside to the degree that people believe he will. Will they have more explosives? Yes, they will. Cam Rising is a far superior quarterback. But it's not as if like Cam Rising is all of a sudden going to make their receivers run better routes and be faster because they're missing some speed on the outside that they've always had. But what they're going to do is they're going to try to play keep away. And when USC has an inability to defend the run, it plays into the hands of Utah. In there right now, USC being 84th against the run is kind of inexcusable. You're too talented to be that bad against the run.
They are. And the other part of that is, with the exception of the Notre Dame game, you've been so, well, I guess the Arizona game, they got mauled too on the ground. Beyond those games, you've been so far ahead that you have no excuse for an opponent to be running the ball on you. So how have you been giving up that many yards?
That's a great point.
You've been winning games by 50 plus
That's
through the
crazy.
first 5 games of the season.
Yeah.
So how are you now falling face first and allowing that many yards rushing when you're up 50? Teams aren't running the ball on you.
Yeah. This team has so much talent, though. Like, you're just like, they can figure it out. But how many weeks
nationally,
how many
they're up
weeks
there
do you go?
again. Well, nationally, they're up there again for sacks and tackles for loss. Disruptive plays, they're up there. It's the consistency and the brain-dead stupidity that pops up in the open field tackling and the breakdown mentally, particularly in their pass rush lanes. And when a quarterback breaks out, they have gotten gashed all season long by a quarterback taking the ball and running and everybody turning their head.
Here's something that doesn't get enough run, but we talked about this a lot over the course of last year, though. And it's just like the Minnesota Vikings going 11-0 in one possession games.
Mhm.
It is the turnover luck.
They led the nation in turnovers last year. They
And-
were plus 22, I think, at one point.
because
in time.
they caused an ungodly amount and they did not turn the ball over.
They did not turn the ball over. at
They're
all.
not causing as many turnovers. They still do,
Yeah.
but they're not causing as many turnovers. And Caleb Williams is turning the ball over now,
Well,
which is
turned the ball over like crazy against Notre Dame.
which is a very uncharacteristic. But look, that's why they call it turnover luck,
Mhm.
because the numbers bear it out. Is like even when you have a generational player, like sometimes they turn the ball over.
Mhm.
You know, when they're trying to force the issue around you, and there's a lot of luck that is involved. I think if you went back and you looked at it, like the NFL keeps track of these stats. I wish college would. The turnover-worthy throws.
Yes.
Like,
Caleb has thrown a ton in the sense of, when we talked about this last year, leading up to the draft, where there was the comparison between CJ Stroud and Caleb Williams, and it was the tracking software that tracked ball placement. And even though Caleb had put the ball in more tight spots consistently than Stroud, he had also put it into tight spots more consistently with coverage.
yeah.
And that was like, well, yeah, he's putting the ball there. He's dotting them up, but he's had Jordan Addison or late last season, Brendan Rice making incredible plays, Mario Williams making Taj Washington, all of them coming up with 50-50 balls regularly, and them not turning into 50-50 balls. They were turning into 80-20 balls because the wide receivers were just outmatching DBs.
I was looking at the Brock Purdy's turnover-worthy throws.
Mm-hmm. I bet she's got a ton.
He has 8 and only 1 interception on them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's incredible to see.
Yeah.
But Caleb, here's a stat for you. The Caleb Williams stat. Last 3 weeks, 0 big time throws, 7 turnover worthy plays.
Yeah. And 4 of them were turnovers.
Yeah.
So the capitalization, boop.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah, that makes
but
sense.
you know what? I do believe in your men of Troy this weekend.
I do too. If Cam Rising doesn't play this week, he's out for the season. I'm putting the stamp on. If he doesn't play this week, this is it.
Oh.
I mean, if you're not going to play him here, when are you going to play him?
Juicy. All right. let's get to Oregon and Washington State, a rivalry game that has a line that has me scratching my head a little bit. Danny Dusty on the Fan.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome to
for Oregon and Washington State. Cougs coming to town.
How early are you getting down there?
7:30.
So that means you leave at 3:30?
I leave tonight. No, 3:30.
I didn't know how bad the traffic was going to be getting down there.
Oh, no. No, you can make it down in 2 hours still that early.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you should listen to my traffic reports then during the pregame show.
Oh,
That's
you
right.
make the mistake
And
of
also
thinking that
during
I'm
Sinner and
up
Saint.
that early.
And also with Will during Sinner and Saint. He
That's
does the
right.
traffic and weather updates as well.
Thinking
That's
I'm
right.
up at 7 o'clock on a Saturday. Are you insane?
No, luckily my in-laws live in beautiful Harrisburg, Oregon.
Oh, there you go. A little hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah. So I'll go down there tonight.
There you go. That way you don't have to deal with the nonsense.
Yeah, it's not bad that early in the morning. Like if you were to
No,
leave
no,
at
the-
like
the way-
9,
yeah.
if you leave at like 9 for the 12:30 game, then you're going to be in the thick of it. But people don't get there that early.
don't
The
get-
lots don't open up until 8:30.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They don't have the early lots even for the early game?
No, I mean you can do like the RV lots where you can even stay overnight there.
Oh, you can't? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
There was a game with the Colorado game. I drove in to the parking lots, and it was another 12:30 kick. So it was at 7:30 in the morning. I drive in, and there was just a dude sitting in a lawn chair, drinking out of a fifth, ready to rock and roll. And I was like, you know what that is? That's good old American tailgating right there.
Ready to party.
That guy, he was nobody else with him. He was just by himself, just sitting in a lawn, just in a folding chair.
Clogged with malted hops and bong resin.
100%.
It's like our guy in Philadelphia getting there at what was it, 6 hours before the game?
You mean 16,
16 hours
hours
before
he
the
was
game, yeah.
He was there for Monday Night Football at 3:30 in the morning.
Hey, did he bring 72 beers for himself?
Yeah. He's a legend. And I bet he drank all of them.
What's the
Yeah, baby.
What's the most amount of beers you've drank in a 24-hour period?
Oh, I don't know.
Put a number on it.
Come
on.
I don't even know.
Coward.
I don't know.
I can't go with a 24-hour period, but I know a 12-hour period
Mhm.
from college.
Yeah.
24
Yeah.
Yeah.
a case, and then topped it off with a 22 a Pyramid Hefeweizen.
Oh God,
That'll be-
I can't think of worse beers to top off.
Well, it was a case of like I think it had a Busch Light or something.
Yeah, I know, but
It was
like
something light.
you're going water and then just pouring that
Yeah.
just big heavy beer
Well,
on
had
top.
to go
of
for
it.
the big flex at the end, you know.
Like the one, you can't put a number on it because hands down, one of the biggest days of the year was the Beer Olympics every year,
Mhm.
where multiple kegs were taken down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so it's like, I don't know how much over that 17, 18 hour period it was consumed. It wasn't, it was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot. And I honestly, I could not put a number on it,
Mm.
but it was enough to, even in my 20s, to have like a multiple day hangover.
Oof.
Yeah. Where you bounce back like that. I was not bouncing back.
Couple days, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
For ours, it was gentleman's case. We had from midnight to noon to put down the case. If we-
From midnight to noon. huh?
yes. And then the rule
Not
was
noon to midnight.
no midnight
Okay.
to noon.
I'd do better on the noon to midnight. For
And
sure.
the rule was if you participated, you still had to go to class the next day.
Oof.
Oh, I was
They're
thinking
like in the
that
morning.
day. I was
Yeah.
like, well, from midnight to noon, like you can have that 8 a.m. class,
Yep.
and you're 8 hours into it.
Yeah, that's the only way you get out of the basement is to go to class if you're participating.
Honestly, it would be great if you just went to class and just
Wait,
in
hold
class.
on. Was this? I'm confused now.
Mhm.
Was this in college or was this at Danny's house where you're in the basement, you're locked in there, and you can't get out?
Oh, trust me, you're not getting out of Danny's basement.
Well, so what is it for you? I feel like you know your number, and that's why I honestly don't have a number for you.
I know it was
Those
over.
were the
I
most.
know it was over 36
Okay,
because
that's a lot.
we
Gosh,
killed 36 and
holy
then
smokes!
alcohol poisoning set in after that. But I kept drinking.
Yikes.
So
Yeah, and this is a great point on the Vancouver Ford text line because we also had these ones too. It's hard to put a number on Shasta beers. Shasta beers would be going to Lake Shasta Memorial Day weekend, and you're
Ooh.
on the houseboats, and you're on.
It all blends together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're parked on the island. You don't know. You don't know.
You
It's
just hope
your-
that you don't end up face first in the water.
Yeah.
That's all you're hoping for.
Yeah. Man. All right. Well, so that's talking Ducks and Cougs. Actually, that may be the most fitting Washington State segment that we could have put
That was
together.
the ode to the Cougs.
The only thing missing was Fireball talk.
Yeah. Ugh.
I can't get behind it. It's just not my thing.
There.
Deep fried Fireball?
Because I love this man, I will not say the name, but there was a bar that we would go to, and we got to know. Well, there's several bar owners that we got to know very well, but me and my buddies went there on a weekday night, and we were the only guys in the bar, and the owner, he got us. We started drinking Jaeger bombs.
Oh, Jaeger bombs, go.
Because we were dumb college kids.
Yeah, yep.
And the Jaeger bombs turned into obstacle course races around the bar. And that was the only night that I've gotten a ride home from the owner of a bar. Because he was like, you guys are not walking. You guys are not going anywhere. And we all just piled in the back of his car, and he just rolled up, and we all just rolled out of our car. He was like,
You guys look like Spicoli and his buddies, rolling out of the VW bus.
and my favorite part of it was that at the end of the night, we all got our bills, and we were like, none of those were free? And he's like, none. And we were like, what the hell, man? Like, you're the reason why. We got no freebies out of him.
I mean, it is what it is.
Actually, I did get one. I got one.
First one's free?
No. It was after the David Tyree helmet catch.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the only time I got a free drink out of him.
Speaking of Jaeger bombs, I came home from a deployment, and we went straight to a bar, me and a buddy of mine, and we couldn't drink for, 14 months.
Mm.
And we talked the bartender into putting the bottle of Jaeger on the counter and giving us 5 or 6 Red Bulls. And he said, have at it. And we raced to see who could black out first.
That's not. God, you military guys are different.
It was,
You guys are.
work hard, play hard.
Man. All right. There we go. And now I don't drink Jaeger or Fireball.
I haven't had Jaeger in years, and that used to be my drink of choice. Loved it. Hate black licorice, loved Jaeger. Makes sense of it.
That was me too.
I'm gagging right now.
Yeah.
You used to be a big Jaeger guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh no,
Well after college.
Yeah.
No, that was one like before I was
But
just
hate
a
black
tequila,
licorice. Always have.
Before I was
Really?
just a
Yeah.
tequila man, I was a tequila Jaeger guy. And
And Jaeger isn't really like black licorice. That's
mean-
more Uzo, Zambuca.
I think it's pretty black
Uzo
for
is
sure.
Uzo is very black licorice.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Nothing.
I'm gagging just thinking about it, really. That's where I'm at with this
I want a Jaeger
conversation.
bomb.
I was just thinking,
You want a Jaeger bomb
do
now?
we need to have like
Yeah.
Friday Jaeger bombs? Jaeger bombs go.
Yeah, we need to get some Red Bulls door dashed over here.
Some red balls.
No. I have a feeling.
That'll bring a little juice to the show. Red balls give you wings.
I have a feeling the high school I coach football at would not be too happy with that. So I will allow you guys to participate in that one
Live
your
on
own.
stream. Stacking them up here. Ugh.
All right.
All right, speaking of stacking them up, well, the Michigan Wolverines keep stacking up stupid penalties. And our worst day on the web, well, the Michigan Wolverines are making a move to try to snuff out said stupid penalties. But first, here's the Big Kahuna with the Sports Center update.
Hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
This is a Football Friday.
Michigan football analyst Connor Stallions has been suspended as the NCAA investigates an alleged sign-stealing operation by the Wolverines. Dusty, you're the expert here.
Hold on. Did you just say Michigan porn star Connor Stallions? Because that
Football
name
analyst?
is... Oh, football analyst. Yeah. Okay. Because that guy, that is a name and a half.
It's fantastic. Connor Stallions.
Connor Stallions.
I hope it's Stallions and not Stallions.
No, it's
Stallions. Because it's only one L.
Yeah, that's Connor Stallions is a solid name.
He's also, as you mentioned earlier, a Marine.
Yeah.
Which is how he got caught.
Don't. Maybe.
Just saying.
Might be it.
You don't send in a grunt for a surgical operation.
Well, I don't know if this is a surgical operation that was going on there at Michigan.
Well, I mean, again, you are very familiar with sign stealing, so elaborate.
I think I'm a Michigan fan now. There was a sentence in there that's, and I was like, hey, yeah, you're damn right. And then I was like, oh, wow, that sucks. Somebody who is a source within the Michigan program told Pete Thamel of ESPN that this is worse than the Astros and the Patriots scandal. And I was like, damn, those are two of my favorite teams in one sentence. And that's not a good sense for them to be in.
No, and which means it was super elaborate, which, again, the first line in the article, a source told ESPN the Wolverines used an elaborate scouting system to steal signals from future opponents since at least 2021.
See, and okay, now he has been suspended. He's the focal point. This guy, Connor Stallions, is a former Marine. They hired on staff, and he's technically a recruiting analyst, okay? And what these analysts, in a lot of these analyst positions, are you can't work with players on the field. So he's a recruiting analyst. That's odd, which means he probably watches film on recruits and stuff like that. That's supposed to be his job. But by all accounts, and people that have been reporting this isn't just from Thamel, it's from all other sources of reporting. I don't know if there's just one person within the Michigan football program that's talking. And by the way, somebody is talking because that's the only way the NCAA finds out. That's the only way any of this gets out is if somebody's like, all right, yeah, we know what
snitches get stitches.
The jig is up here. You guys are going to get caught. But they said that this Connor Stallions has one job and one job only at Michigan. And it ain't to be a recruiting analyst. It is to steal other team signs. Stealing other team signs is very common. I talked about this yesterday. Like, every program in the country has people dedicated during a game to looking across the field and stealing and deciphering what the other team's signals are. And it's really not that hard. What you have to do is the other team will have, in all of those boards, the Chip Kelly boards, very little of that, if any, sometimes. There's some games where those boards don't mean anything. They're just holding them up.
False flags.
To make those other people try to figure out what's going on, who's trying to steal the signs. Because what you'll notice is, even the teams that hold up the boards, they got other guys doing the hand signals. And you have dummy calls and you have live. And the guys that are on the field, they know who's live and who's the dummy. But you're looking at those, and sometimes it's by position group. You'll get different signals, right? If you see like a guy in a yellow hat, he may be signaling to the offensive line. The red hat is signaling to the skill positions, and that's how you can get some of your plays in. But what these teams are doing is you're trying to decipher, one, who's live and who's a dummy, and then two, what signal correlates to what happens on the field. And it usually takes a couple possessions to figure out what's going on.
Sure.
You can also use the game film that you get to get any signals that you possibly can. You're zooming in on the sidelines and seeing any of the check with me stuff and what those signals can be. And then you try to figure those things out. Here is where Michigan is running into it. It's that you can't go and scout in person. You can't do it.
Which is a rule since 1994. It's an archaic rule, but a rule nonetheless.
And it was all based on, cost saving and the haves and the have-nots. The rule probably should be gotten rid of a long time ago. I believe this. I think that Jim Harbaugh, I think he didn't know that this was a rule.
Probably
when
not.
he is bounced from college to the NFL, back to college, I bet he was doing this at Stanford. I bet that he didn't know that it was a rule because his NFL background would only tell him that you can go and scout in person, right?
Hell, you can put a recording device in the box of your opponent.
But he's saying he didn't know it was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
Now,
hilarious, which has been happening for years, and yet somehow they would have advance notice of signals.
I guarantee you, Jim Harbaugh knew that it was happening.
Yeah.
And now they're in violation of rule. All of this, too, and I spent a lot of time on this yesterday, that this is the NCAA saying you were defiant. You think that you're going to, that 3-game suspension that you took this year? Oh, that's cute. Yeah, no, they're trying to find more to drop the hammer on him because he was defiant. He ran his mouth. They did their little strut around saying, hey, we're only going to suspend him for 3 games now, not 4 games. And this is the NCAA saying, yeah, we may not have many teeth, but if you want to thumb your nose at us, we'll go ahead and we'll throw the book at you. USC knows what this is like, right? Like, I mean, USC found this out in a big way, but everybody else since then has just gone, you got us, right? Like,
part of me thinks if they tried, not that they would, if they tried to USC and go near death sanctions, like really ramped it up, Michigan and Jim Harbaugh would be the program to tell the NCAA to get bent.
Yeah, it might be, but then they would tell them to get bent, and they would need the other schools to follow suit with them, and that's easier said than done.
Sure,
even though they are just a glorified party planning committee. Yeah. But what Stalions was doing, and now they're trying to get a hold of his laptop, and
they're gonna get it, and they're gonna get phones, and but
they don't have subpoena power. Like they don't. The only thing that could save them is that Michigan just saying, okay, we're not going to be defiant. We're going to be compliant with everything you want.
And hand it over.
Here it all is. And Harbaugh probably leaves at the end of the day because there's going to be enough evidence. Because here's the thing that Jim Harbaugh's up against. And the NCAA knows it. Jim Harbaugh he doesn't even need, if he proves that it wasn't him at the center of it, that's not good enough.
No.
He has to prove to the NCAA
there's no knowledge
that
of
he
it.
doesn't know any of it was going on. How do you prove that you didn't know something was happening? Think
by
about
throwing everyone else under the bus.
But how do you because
everyone else involved would have to exclude him from it.
The NCAA rule is that it is presumed that the head coach knows everything that is going on within his program or program. Or her program, or program. So you have to prove that you didn't know something was happening. Unless
proving a negative, super fun.
Connor Stalions is going to make the move to the San Fernando Valley. He falls on the sword and says, no, I truly didn't know. And Harbaugh had no idea what was going on. I acted alone and it was solely myself. Then that is the only way that Harbaugh can kind of prove it. But
you know what I take from that real quick, though?
Yeah.
You know where Van Nuys is.
Is that in the San Fernando Valley? Is that where Van Nuys is? But this is going to be incredibly hard, and the NCAA knows it's going to be incredibly hard for Jim Harbaugh to prove he knew nothing of what was going on. And all of it is just adding up to
Jim Harbaugh, Los Angeles Chargers coach.
That's right. Or Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
Or, team with a promising future. Not Denver.
Not going to a bad team.
Not Arizona.
No. Chicago. No.
I could see him be Captain Comeback returning to Chicago with Caleb Williams.
Oh, with Caleb.
I could see that happening.
Yeah.
He gets number 1 and number 2 pick, and the only thing that he screws up because it's Chicago is that he refuses to take Marvin Harrison Jr. because he's an Ohio
Takes
State
Blake
guy.
Corum instead.
He's like, no. I won't. It's like you could have had Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr., but he's an Ohio State guy. I could see that happening.
He could take Caleb. Doesn't Michigan have one of the top tackles?
They probably do.
No, Notre Dame does. They've got all.
This is but back to Connor Stalions. Him getting suspended is the first step. And there's also another big part about this in the Big Ten's involvement. Because I think the Big Ten's involvement is significant in all of this, because the Big Ten came out and they're the ones that made all of this public. Why would the Big Ten make all of this public? Why would the conference that's supposed to be protecting its member institutions be the one to come out and say the NCAA is investigating Michigan? The reason is they know they know that this is so widespread that they're warning the other schools on their schedule that, hey, by the way, Michigan State, they've been watching you.
Yeah.
And so they get out ahead of this and they announce this on a Thursday. And I bet you they went to them on Wednesday and were like, hey, you probably already know this because it's the worst kept secret in the Big Ten, apparently, was that Michigan was stealing everybody's signals in advance and doing advanced scouting. But they probably went to them on Wednesday and was like, hey, they're investigating them now. Change your signals for this week. You need to get ahead of it. And they're letting every future opponent know, guys,
Have it switched up.
Cover your 6 because Michigan's been watching it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I also think that they're also probably trying to protect the brand a little bit because they saw the damage that happened to the Houston Astros and the New England Patriots. Because if it does...
What damage? The winning championships?
Mm-hmm.
Like all that?
Yeah, we're definitely not talking about it literal years later.
Dude, everybody's forgotten about it.
Nobody forgets. Coming up next, we'll actually talk about...
I laugh because if I cry, I can't.
Coming up next, we will actually talk about the Oregon Ducks and the Washington State Cougars, and I swear I won't derail it with beer talk. Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Justin Minaya has just been added as a third two-way to the grouping, and that would mean either Skylar Mays getting converted into a full-time deal, which was I heard was something was discussed, or that somebody else would be dropped. And Sean Hyken has it as
John Butler.
John Butler Jr.
He go.
Is no longer a part of the two-way groups.
But isn't this a guy that you could just kind of let him sit, and then if nothing else happens, bring him onto the remix?
Sure.
And that's the benefit of having the remix now.
Exactly. As it stands right now, I would imagine that the remix roster is going to include the two-way guys. So it'll be with the exception of Skylar Mays, who is probably going to. So as a two-way contract, you can be on the active NBA roster 50 times. I would imagine Skylar Mays uses all 50. The other guys, I wouldn't be so certain about. They're just getting seasoning with Justin Minaya and Iwa Baji. Baji is a guy that they're invested in. He's 7'1", 7'2", huge dude who has some natural shot blocking instincts, and see what happens. You know, when you've got that kind of size and mobility, see what happens. So have him run out there with the G League with Remix, and get the fire hose of minutes with Justin Minaya, with Ryan Rupert. If you want to send Chris Murray down there, go ahead and do that too, and then kind of figure things out from there.
So the Blazers roster then is like, for all intents and purposes, this is kind of it then. I mean, George Condit was waived as well, so we're starting to see exactly how this thing is going to be moving into the regular season. And look, their preseason has been done. That's actually the benefit of all this, is that you've had some extra time.
They have until Monday
to sit when you
their
have
roster.
10 days off.
Yeah, they haven't. The 23rd is at 5 p.m. Eastern, so but 2 p.m. local. Rosters are set.
Boy, people care a lot about spots that they're not going to be used very often, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it is a good place for development, and that's what it is. They're development spots. They aren't guys who are going to play. The Blazers do only have 13 rostered right now, so they will get one more. 13 is the minimum, but the Blazers are going to carry 14. It's going to come down to Kevin Knox, who was with the Blazers during the end of last year, and Duop Reith, who they brought in from the Summer League.
Reith started the last game.
Yes. Obviously, DeAndre Ayton was down, and I
Yeah.
believe they were letting everybody else just kind of chill. That was since it was their last game. That's typically what happens. Either the
Well, I
second
know,
to
but I
last or
think
last
that
game.
kind of tells you what the pecking order might be.
Well, I mean, it is expected that Moses is already done, but as far as between Wap and Knox,
Yeah.
it'd be a little bit interesting if they carried 4 centers.
Hey, well, size has been the issue.
It
They're going against everything that they were in the past, and I'm here for it.
Oh, and that is something the organization has said, is that they are big.
If you had
that
shooters,
pendulum swinging from small, undersized guards to lots of big men.
when all you had was shooters and no bigs, and now all you have is bigs and no shooters, I'm here for it.
The organization has said multiple times, we'd rather err on the size, athleticism, defense potential front than just the shooting front.
Size matters.
It's true. No matter what anybody tells you, it's true, and it's harder to find everywhere.
You just got to know how to use it,
It's true.
And then there's people like Victor Wembanyama who have size and know how to use their entire body, man. Like, Victor Wembanyama nutmegging dudes on the perimeter is wild.
Think about how far down he has to go to put it between their legs.
That's one way to phrase that sentence.
I thought so.
Professional.
I thought so.
Professional.
All right. Well, that's your Blazers roster update news. Coming up next, now we will talk about the Washington State. I almost said Washington State Huskies. Oh my God, I'm sorry, Coug fans.
Ooh, they would have stabbed you.
Yeah, I know. The Washington State Cougars and the Oregon Ducks
Through the live stream.
Right? And a 20-point spread? Coming up next, Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
He's wearing his little
his little rolling outfit.
Yeah, he's rolling around in there.
It's like the adult version of the little sailor
He
outfit.
said, "You know what? I'm happy for you." He smells really bad
It
right
actually
now.
it still
Pungent?
stinks in here.
Yeah.
He's
At
gonna
least
go-
he's wearing clothes.
It's true. We reminded him that there are cameras in here, and he can no longer come in with that thing swinging.
Well,
That is smelling your own farts.
Yeah, that's well.
it truly is.
It's his. Wow, he does have his. He does have a.
He got a little funk to him.
He got a unique smell to him.
I'm over here.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a really good question here on the comment section at YouTube. I went and I logged on. Where are your Croc boots at, Danny?
They aren't released until the 23rd, and they have neither confirmed nor denied whether or not I'm getting a pair.
You need to wear Croc
Look,
boots.
if they get them to me, I will 100% wear them to opening night. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I will wear them.
Croc boots are
With
an
spurs.
abomination.
With spurs.
Yeah, they're an abomination, but you should wear them.
And for those wondering, we'll go only Dan's right now.
All you wear is Crocs. You are
Not always,
You're
but
a
most of the time.
Crocaholic.
90% of the time.
And you wearing Croc boots, it would make my year.
Oh, listen.
It would make my year.
I will 100% wear them if they give me a pair. That absolutely, unquestionably, we'll throw them on.
You tried to show on the camera.
Yeah,
and
the camera's too tight.
Yeah, you did a good job of getting your leg up in
I
the
did.
air, but
As high as that thing has been in a while.
Not quite good enough. Not quite good
It
enough.
just shows you the hips work. Babe.
You hear that, ladies?
Off the
hips
market.
down, man. It's a disaster.
Off the market. As Rufio says in the chat, I'm actually just impressed that you got your leg that high. It's more of a lean there going on. Washington State, Oregon.
Yeah.
20-point favorites, the Ducks.
Boy, seems like
How?
a really big line here. Well, it's one reaction to, it's really hard to set a line like this when you have Washington State
Get throttled.
Not just get throttled, but the way that it happened is even worse. When you score the opening possession of the game, you go for two and don't get it, and then you get outscored 44-0 moving forward. That's tough, man. And Washington State is in it. They're in it in a bad way right now because they are looking for answers that I don't know if they are there or not. We talked with Alex Brink yesterday, and I love the conversation that we had with him because, look, a lot of the things are just remedied by, hey, make the right decision, be quick with the ball, and this offense can't operate. One thing that they do not have is they cannot run the football. They are the Air Buckle offense. Ben Arbuckle, he does a phenomenal job and leads the country in passing every year. Their inability to run has been heightened and highlighted over the last 2 weeks in a way. And really, it's been 2.5 weeks.
With Arizona quite literally laughing at them and saying, we're only going to put 3 down.
And they dropped 8. They did. At times, they dropped 8 and said, we know you can't run the ball. We dare you to do it. And they couldn't do it. But it's really 2.5 games because the second half against Oregon State put the clamps down on them. And they played far better defensively. But this is where the rubber meets the road, and it's inexcusable, and it is a major concern, and it's why you see this number at 20, is the last 2 weeks, Washington State has run the ball 41 times. They have gained 47 yards.
Yikes, dog.
You cannot do that.
No.
Like
God,
that.
what was the longest run in there?
I don't even know.
I mean, it means they had a ton of negative runs.
It's not going to be very hard to find out. But it's one of those things that you look at. And look, all rushing yards in college football are over-exaggerated because sack yards are in your rushing and not into the passing stats. But their longest run against Arizona was 13 yards. Their longest run against UCLA was 11. And it was Cam Ward on a scramble.
Oof.
Yep.
So 24 of their yards, their net yards, came on those 2 plays.
And they've only given up. And here's the thing, too.
It's not like Cam's been sacked that much.
5.
So if you're taking on
5 times
average,
he's been sacked.
let's say on average 5 yards a loss. So they lost 35 yards. That means in essence they've run for, let's say, 80 yards total. and they've gotten 24 yards of that 80 from those 2 carries. And if you're taking 5 attempts off the top,
Yep.
that means
36.
36 yards or 36 carries for roughly 55 yards.
It's not good.
Yeesh.
And that's where there's legitimate concern with this Washington State team, especially against an Oregon team that they're going to be hungry. And I chuckled at
Would you say 5% hungrier?
I chuckled at that comment. Coach Lanning said that on Monday night. He's like, when they were tracking their guys, they were moving 5% faster, and they track every movement.
Yeah, the catapult system that's underneath everything.
It's crazy.
Mhm.
It's wild. What they
Super
do, but
nerdy. It's awesome.
That also is something that 5%. I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means, but yes, they could be 5% better on Saturday or tomorrow afternoon. But that inability to run, it's going to be it will play out if they can't do it against the Ducks. But here's the other thing where that line is a little fishy to me is that Oregon's got real injuries in the secondary. Like I know Triquez Bridges came in for Jaleel Florence, and Jaleel Florence, I believe, could have gone back into the game with his injury at Washington, but he didn't. And because Bridges was playing well, but Kyrie Jackson with the shoulder injury, will they play? Probably, but
if you can
how
limit their
effective are they
snaps,
going to be?
If you can limit their snaps, the stretch run the Ducks are about to go on, you need your dudes back. And if you can maybe get away with it against Washington State, you probably should.
That's why it's fishy there, that 20-point line and that, look.
It's a 20-point line, and it's an over-under of 61. So if you're doing the rough math, they're saying 41-20 Ducks.
Style points may matter.
Yeah.
Style points may matter for Oregon just because
they have a loss.
They have a loss now, and so maybe you guys
if all things are equal and they meet up with Washington again in the Pac-12 title game and it's close again and Oregon wins this time, they're going to go back and they're going to take a look at stuff and go,
and
how does this work?
Look, the 3 teams that the Cougs have played right in front of Oregon are the 3 best teams that Oregon could ask for. I mean, maybe if you were to mix Utah in there, it'd be even better. But they have Oregon State, UCLA, and Arizona. And Arizona with Jedd Fisch, what they are doing in the desert, I want people to know it is wildly impressive what Jedd Fisch is doing with a team that is improved, but it is nowhere near the caliber of what they are playing. They are playing over their skis. And to have those 3 games on film for Oregon, that is huge. Because, for Oregon's faults that you may have with Dan Lanning in his calls on 4th down, which statistically speaking, by the way, 61% of 4th downs under Lanning they've converted.
Which is an
pretty good.
incredible number.
It's the 0 for 9 against Oregon State and
It's
Washington.
the big one. It's the big ones that matter that hurt a ton.
28 of 45, I think, overall.
Yeah,
that's a great,
including the 0 for 9.
Yeah.
Again, that's even
good
with the
number.
0 for 9, that is a great conversion rate. It's just the optics of that 0 for 9.
Oh, the optics are terrible, and you can criticize that, and rightfully so. That is well within reason, and as Dan Lanning likes to say,
I'm a big boy.
He's a big boy.
Indeed,
he is a big boy, and he's going to take that criticism. But with that criticism, something that is undeniable: Oregon is well coached. They are very well coached. They fix their issues on a week-to-week basis.
You don't see them make the same mistakes over and over and over again.
Within games, you see them come out. What they were able to do to Washington's offense in the second half
was huge.
It was incredible what they did in the second half there. And so that is a sign of a very well-coached team. And so when you have those 3 matchups right before you on tape, Oregon has the opportunity to feast. Because, Washington State, you may not be able to run the ball, and that's a big issue for you. They've only scored 2 offensive touchdowns in 2 games. You're not going to win doing that.
No.
You are not going to win if you do not score touchdowns offensively.
Particularly in this conference.
2 in 2 weeks with Cam Ward, who's turned the ball over a ton. I think he has 3 interceptions in the last 2 games as well.
After being one of the best quarterbacks in the country to start the season.
And he still is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. There's just something not right with the Cougs and at Washington State. And you hope that it gets remedied this week if you're a Coug fan, because, man, it doesn't get easy in the Pac-12. There's no easy outs as they are learning with that 44-6 loss at home last week.
It is undeniable, which means it can't be denied.
That's right, baby Billy. That's right.
Well, along with Baby Billy,
Babo Bankas.
gonna ask you two. Either of you ever been on jury duty?
I've had jury duty before.
Didn't
I
Been
was
summoned for it.
dismissed.
Yeah, I was dismissed as well.
All right. Well, I'm gonna call you both here.
I kept saying that guy doesn't look right.
Oh yeah, that's a good way to get out of it. Speaking of that guy doesn't look right, I'm gonna have you guys render a verdict. Is it time to make a decision in Denver? Come up here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. sucks.
He's not good.
He's not good. There's no more, well, I don't know. He doesn't have wide receivers. His offense, his defense. Those are all true, but also Russell Wilson sucks. He's Pete Carroll and the guys up in Seattle, they saw it coming and they got away from it beyond the disaster that he had become as a distraction, but they saw the downfall coming and they tried to tell everybody. They showed, hey, let's do the let's Russ cook thing and show everybody so that way when we trade him, we can be done with it. And by God, do they look like geniuses right now.
It really is a credit to them. And it really makes you wonder about Russ and what has gone into his downfall. Because I truly believe that part of what Russell Wilson's downfall has been is people don't buy his BS anymore.
Oh, 100%.
When he got the reset and he got moved to Denver, and he was not under the protection of Pete Carroll and John Schneider any longer.
And he had all of the bells and whistles that he had become accustomed to without earning the respect of a new team and a new locker room.
Well, and once he left Seattle, the secrets started coming out about how much they really didn't like him. And when you step into a new locker room and you hear that, there was a protection from John Schneider and Pete Carroll in Seattle that was, no, he is our guy. He is our leader. We have chosen him
over the defense,
over the guys that really built and won that the very first championship or Super Bowl run. I don't want to say because, well,
of what happened.
They've only had one. But they went back to the other, and they chose Russ. They chose Russell Wilson. And so when you do that as a franchise, you protect him at all costs.
And you have to run that cover no matter what until
they covered a lot. And then when he left, all of a sudden the shine came off and everybody looked at him in that locker room in Denver like, dude, what are you talking about, man?
Remember, this isn't just Pete Carroll and John Schneider running cover. Who owns that team?
Well, Paul Allen
but Vulcan.
The Allen Trust.
What happens with Vulcan when they send guys out?
They'll burn a bridge.
Indeed.
Yeah. And I love, like, we get a lot of texts like this. Like, Russ's numbers this year are better than Patrick Mahomes. Are you kidding? He still has Sean Payton as his coach. Watch a game.
Yeah,
watch a game and tell me that is a quarterback that
atrocious.
can win a Super Bowl. And I will tell you 10 times out of 10, he cannot.
And if not even win a Super Bowl, you're just asking the guy to win a game.
You also have the fact that personality-wise, he is oil and water from Sean Payton. And like the relentless, like, let's be great, let's be great, let's be great. That's also Pete Carroll. And he doesn't have that cohesiveness with his head coach any longer. And it didn't get off to a great start when, what was the line that Sean Payton had? You need to stop kissing babies and shaking hands and kissing babies or whatever it was. You start playing football. Nobody is buying what Russell Wilson is selling anymore in Denver. I think that is a massive part of it.
Not just that, Wilson doesn't have better numbers than Mahomes. He's got a lesser completion percentage, less yards, and their touchdown interception ratios almost identical.
Almost identical.
Yeah.
Is Russ better in that? In only that?
It's one and one.
Well, I'll tell you where they're vastly different too. Is one is 5-1, the other's 1-5.
Also, who they've played,
and yeah.
Remember, the Broncos sucked last year.
Hold on. That's a good one. Go look at who Denver has played as opposed to who the Chiefs have played, because Denver has played the Raiders, Commanders, Dolphins, and they lost 70-20. Bears, Jets, and Chiefs, where they lost 19-8.
Their one win is the Bears by a field goal when they trailed by 28.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is I think it is time that they move on from Russell Wilson, because there's a lot of things that are at play here. And this is a big bullet that you got to bite. Because if you decide that you are going to move on from Russell Wilson, like the Broncos apparently are ready to do, you are committing yourselves to $89 million over 2 years. If you cut him next June, okay, it would cost Denver $35 million in 2024 and then $49.6 in 2025 in dead caps alone, just for him to go away. Just for him to leave and go away, you're at 35 for next year, 49.6 in 2025.
Remember when they made that deal and they immediately extended him?
Well, that's part of the trade, yeah.
Yeah, I know, but guaranteeing that much? Oh.
That's one of the things, though, you have to do to have a quarterback, and they didn't have a quarterback, and they sat there and
They
they
still
looked at
don't.
Drew Lock and they were like, all right, this guy ain't it. And look, Drew Lock is a backup now, but this is what desperate teams will do when you're looking for a quarterback. Well, hell, look at the Browns with Deshaun Watson.
It's true.
Like, if Deshaun Watson doesn't start playing anywhere close to where he was when he was in Houston, if he was a shell of what he was in Houston,
the Browns,
the Cleveland Browns are a Super Bowl contending team, but he's not.
Yeah.
He's not.
Instead, he's Russell Wilson.
He has been in for no reason. He hasn't taken the shots that Russell Wilson's taken.
No, he was out of football for a year.
Publicly.
Yeah.
And, it was
shots for sure.
One thing that Deshaun Watson is like, dude, you've got to be on the field and you got to start performing, man. Like, Cleveland was desperate. They were desperate. And so they went with one of the worst humans that you could ask for. And they went and they're like, yeah, we'll give you all the money. Because that's what you will do if you want a quarterback bad enough.
And this is where I continue to wonder about, can they attach some draft capital? Not a first, because by God, they can't give up that first. But maybe 2 seconds or a second and a third with Russ to get Kyler Murray?
No. I don't.
Because it solves two problems, because the Cardinals are going to suck no matter what going
I wouldn't
forward.
give that up for Kyler Murray. I wouldn't do it. No, because
the money you're going to eat.
Sean Payton would murder him.
Probably.
No, it's
probably.
If Russell Wilson and Sean Payton aren't jiving, Kyler Murray is like one thing that you can't knock Russ for. Russ wanted an office for what?
To work.
Yeah. Kyler
Murray wants an office to game.
He is committed to his craft.
Yes.
And
nobody's ever said Russ is lazy. That's for damn sure.
No. But that has been something that Kyler Murray has been accused of.
Accused? I feel like accused means not confirmed.
Kyler Murray had it in his contract that he wasn't
lazy.
watching enough film, so they put it in there. They may have taken it out, but it was in there for a reason. And that will not go over with Sean Payton at all. Now, if that trade were to happen, that would be the ultimate Sean Payton go, I can fix him.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But I don't think that would work. And that is probably the one trade that you look at and you go, yeah, that one makes sense. That one would make sense. But the weird thing about the NFL salary cap is that even if if you in the NBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you trade a player to another team, his salary is gone from you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll have to look this up here.
The dead cap of the Broncos
but
would have
if
to
you
eat.
trade Russell Wilson, you still get hit with dead cap because what they wanted to do was they wanted to curtail guys being signed to massive contracts and then just sending them off and being like, whoop, wiped our hands clean with him. Somebody else's problem now. And in doing that, now you have dead cap money that lingers even after you trade some of these big contract guys because they wanted those big contract guys to stay in the place that they signed those deals to.
You made your bed, you sleep in it.
Absolutely. And now Denver made their bed and they want to buy a new bed.
It's full of poo.
Yeah, it's not a great bed to be living in right now. So if they were to trade him,
what's the trade cap?
they would save $8 million this year, but next year they would have $68 million in dead cap.
Oof, but that'd be it though, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. So you'd take the 68 million instead of the 89 over 2.
And if they have a June 1 trade of Russell Wilson in next offseason, it is a $68 million cap hit. And if you have a post June 1st trade next year, it would be $18 million in 2024. $49.6 million in 2025.
So they could break it up.
You can break it up, but you would have to hold on to him till after June 1st And then it's the other thing of, all right, so we're saving $17 million in 2024.
Which, that's not a small number.
But we're also paying the piper in 2025.
But if you do it ahead where you could just eat 68,
Yeah.
well, you're going to suck anyways.
Yeah.
This is a 2-year suck plan.
And you know what? I was thinking about this, though. If you were the Broncos, maybe this is the thing that you do. Because you get a rookie quarterback, you get him in the building, and if he's your guy, you sit him down and you say, do you see what we're up against with acquiring talent to surround you with? This is what happens when you get paid an exorbitant amount of money. And and it's all guaranteed.
And you're a bit of a D-bag.
And we go, no, not even that part of it. It is the straight finances of all of this guaranteed money and what everything's being dished out in fully guaranteed contracts. The Browns will have no wiggle room with Deshaun Watson.
Oh, for sure.
With all of the guaranteed money Russ has, it is one of those things that they don't have a lot of wiggle room. The brilliance in what the Kansas City Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes
was do it over a decade.
They have a decade, and it's a $500 million, right?
But they can move it all over.
But there is so much flexibility in that because of that $500 million, a fifth of it was guaranteed, and so they've got plenty.
They can roster bonus here, signing bonus there.
They
front
can
end,
move
back
that thing,
end.
and he's going to get paid.
Eventually, there's going to be a day where that man is getting like $100 million in a year.
Well, and when he retires and he's long gone, then the Chiefs bite the bullet. But
Yes.
you know what? That is at the
they
time
won't
where
be in the Super Bowl window then.
like everybody is, and this is what the Patriots are going through. It's like they paid the piper after Tom Brady left for 2 years, and they during that 20-year run though they were like, it's all going to be worth it. Kicking the can down the road is going to be worth it.
When you're in a Super Bowl window, always.
It always is.
You know what else is worth it? 2:30 on a Friday afternoon. And coming back with Jeff Rust, America's best sports game. Oh, but first, here's the big kahuna with the Sports Center update.
You mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
This is a Football Friday edition of Danny and Doug.
Jeff Russ, take it away.
I have a question. Can somebody help me answer this question before we get to Orr? Have you guys noticed that like this time of year sometimes, and this may be a very rural thing that I'm talking about, but like I don't want to say it's like raining spider webs, but like spider webs are like in the air. Is this a problem very unique to the area that I live in?
Yeah,
I think so.
What
Like
kind
there's-
of is it hell that you're living in that's raining
I think
spiders?
so. It's awful.
Although I will say
And
the
it's
other day
terrifying.
we saw one of the biggest spiders I've ever seen in my entire life outside of our
It's
house.
spooky season. Was it a decoration for Halloween?
No.
Okay,
It was a real live one.
All right.
Yeah. At
Like,
least until we sprayed it
We
with
can't
the-
complain about
My neighbor has a
spiders here.
10-foot spider for Halloween.
It's aggressive.
Terrifying.
That is aggressive.
They
What
also
do
have-
they do with it all year? Where does that go?
I don't know. They also have like one of those like 10-foot tall skeletons.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Do they decorate him in Christmas lights during Christmas, or like do they Santa him?
Evil Santa would be a move.
Oh, make him jolly. Just fatten him up.
Look at you asking Orr questions here.
What?
Washington State hitting Autzen Stadium to face number 9 Oregon, 12:30 kick on ABC. You can catch all of it here, of course, on the Fan. Bo Nix and Cam Ward with amazingly similar stats this season. Nix 1,796 passing yards, 17 touchdowns and a pick, 101 rush yards and a rushing touchdown this season. Ward 1,779 passing yards, 14 touchdowns, 3 picks, 101 rush yards again, and 3 rushing touchdowns. Who finishes with more total yards tomorrow? Bo Nix
Or
Cam Ward.
Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Bo Nix.
I'll tell you this: if it is Cam Ward, Oregon's in trouble.
I say Bo Nix because his offensive line will do a better job of keeping him upright, and there's some serious issues going on with Washington State's passing attack.
Only
Well,
one.
I guess I should say offense in general.
There we go. Only one matchup in the Pac-12 with 2 ranked teams, number 14 Utah, number 18 USC, 5 o'clock on Fox.
Please clap.
Yeah, the Trojans are 7-point favorites. It seems a touch high to me, but, Utah can't score and stuff. But even people that can't score can score on USC.
that's what she said.
Wow.
Straight up, who you got? Utah,
Or
USC.
Oh God.
I got USC. I'm going to go USC in this.
I do too. Only because Utah doesn't have a quarterback.
If USC loses this game,
Oh boy.
the Trojan tears are
buddy,
going
it's
to
gonna
be
tough.
incredible.
What time is kickoff tomorrow?
5.
Okay, so I'll probably miss that.
You gonna already be drunk and passed out?
No, I've got tickets with the wife to Bert Kreischer tomorrow.
Oh, Bert.
So I'm gonna go see Bert. So hopefully I'll be laughing while checking my phone and crying.
Okay.
We do have a Big Daddy in the Big Ten tomorrow. Number 7 Penn State at number 3 Ohio State.
I'm not
What
going
did
to
you
the Big
say?
Ten.
There's a big daddy.
There's a Big Daddy in the Big Ten. James Franklin just 1-8 against Ohio State. The Buckeyes 5-point favorites. That's a 9 o'clock kick on Fox. Their big nooner.
That's not good.
That's right. That's not good. Does James Franklin get off the schneid? Yes.
Or
No.
I'm gonna go Penn State. It shouldn't, but I'm going to.
One of our defensive coordinators at Southern Oregon, when I was down there, was a guy by the name of Stacy Collins. He is now the special teams coordinator for Penn State. Go Nittany Lions.
There you go.
All right.
Go Nittany Lions.
I just mostly want to see Ohio State fail.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like Coach Collins. He's great. Western Oregon guy too.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Game 5 of the ALCS currently underway. Last I saw, Astros leading the Rangers at 1-0.
You're damn right they are.
That series is tied at 2 games each. Game 6 on Sunday. The Phillies lead the Diamondbacks 2-1. Game 4 tonight and Game 5 tomorrow. Both series could be done by Monday. Will the World Series matchup be set when we reconvene on Monday? Yes.
or
No.
Yes.
You said both?
Yes.
Think we're
Will
getting-
we have the full World Series matchup set?
That would mean your Astros winning today and Sunday.
No.
No?
No.
Do we have either side set?
Guys, I've been trying to tell you this. The series doesn't start until the home team wins.
Mm.
You guys believe me yet? You guys believe me yet?
I think we're getting the rematch. I think both teams are going to get hot.
Yeah, I'm not going to rule the Rangers out. I'm not going to rule the Rangers
You
out.
can't anti-jinx this.
But I do believe that Philly will be in by Monday.
Philly's going to find their bats again, and they'll be there.
Yeah.
I feel like the team of destiny.
But I'm going to say we get 7. We get the most exciting words in sports. Game 7.
Game 7. We've talked about this a little bit earlier. Michigan and Jim Harbaugh under investigation for violating rules regarding sign stealing. The NCAA seems like they've got an axe to grind, and lots would say deservedly so.
They'd like to drink their haterade and eat their hater tots.
That's right, Jim. Wolverines head coach next season, Jim Harbaugh.
Or
The field.
Hell, you could tell
I
me
don't mean
Justin
Field
Fields.
Yates.
You could tell me Justin Fields, and I'd probably go down that road.
Yeah, right? No, I am going I'm going Field on that one.
He gone.
He is gone. And then I don't know what Michigan does because remember, it's a slippery slope, man.
When you lose
And
a coach, yeah.
They've gone down this slippery slope before.
I mean, look, Harbaugh has been incredible.
Yep.
He has been absolutely fantastic on every level.
Remember,
he's beaten Ohio State. He's gotten to the playoffs. Like, there's only one step above where he's been, and that's winning a title.
And they went Rich Rod, Brady Hoke, like
They missed. I mean, they took big swings and they whiffed.
Look, I don't know how many more times that we need to say this, but like every blue blood program has gone through this where it's like you can't just have like a monkey on the sidelines going wah, and you're gonna win games. You had Mike Shula at Alabama. You had Kyle Whittingham at Tyrone Willingham at Washington. Clay Helton at USC. Brady Hoke at Michigan. You've had like Nebraska's still trying to figure it out. You know, like it is really hard to just sit there and be like, you know what, we could just throw anybody out here and we can roll them out. No, good head coaches, they matter no matter where you are. Hiring a good head coach is really damn important. Florida State.
Oh, yeah. Took them a while to get it right, too.
Yeah. I mean, these are programs that Miami. These are all programs.
Well, they still haven't figured it out.
Well, I know, but I'm saying it's really hard. It's really hard. You're still
Florida?
trying to figure it out. Yeah, Billy Napier's finally recruiting, but they went and they hired a coach in Will Muschamp who didn't believe recruiting was important. No, just because you're at Florida doesn't mean you're going to win.
They don't just stumble in.
Yeah.
Not anymore,
It's
at
hard.
least.
It's hard, and I give a ton of credit to Ohio State. Ohio State is the one team that they keep getting it right, man. They keep getting it right.
That's it. That's
all
all I
you
got.
All right. Another rousing edition of America's Greatest Game Show, or presented by Jeff Rust.
Or
Oh, I thought you had
I
another
loved
drop
it.
there.
No, it was great.
Okay, just one. All right, come on. We'll put a bow on this Football Friday edition of Danny and Dusty. Danny Dusty, Danny the Fin.
It's time for a new Blazers season.
The first unit, Scoot, Ant, Tease, Jeremy, D.A., is a functional unit that offensively from Big City, Stephen A. Smith is currently in shambles.
So this is League Championship Series?
League Championship Series, the exact same ratings this year as last year.
It's almost as if the people that watch baseball just watch baseball.
Almost like the same people who watch basketball watch basketball, and the same people who watch football. Yeah. They're gonna watch it.
Football may be different because you can bring in the fringes on the football if it's just a big media market. You know, like
sure, but I'm saying, if you put even a crappy game on TV,
people will watch.
People were watching Jacksonville and London the last 2 weeks.
Absolutely, because football on TV, I watch football.
That's the point. It's if you're a very fan of a sport, and this is why, hopefully, the people that run these leagues over the next couple of years of these TV deals, when they get rid of blackouts and they stop trying to market the same stupid teams to us over and over and over again, because it turns out teams outside of LA, Chicago, New York are actually good, and people do care about them.
There's a lot of people watching, and quite honestly, the Diamondbacks they're not a ratings poll at all.
God, not at all.
This is where it would drop, though. In the World Series, it would drop if you had like a Texas-Arizona matchup.
Sure.
That would not be. But
is that a ratings bonanza? No.
Do
Are they
not
still
like
tuning
the
in?
Astros. They hate the Astros. But hate watching is actually a thing.
Yes.
And people will watch them lose.
Yes, because whoever they play, they're rooting for the opponent.
Yeah. But in a rematch, if it's Phillies Astros
is going to be great.
Let's go.
Yeah.
That was
it was a good series
last year. Even though the Phillies got no hit, people don't forget they got no hit in the World Series.
Oof.
That's and it's a combined no hitter too.
Yeah.
Like a combined no hitter.
Multiple guys greasing you up. That's tough.
That's gnarly. But you get a rematch. If it's a rematch of those two, then I think ratings will be just fine. Philly is so fun to watch.
They are.
And Citizens Bank Ballpark is awesome. It really is. It is such a cool venue. And when that place is on tilt and looking like it's going to explode, nothing is better in baseball.
You saw what they tried to do in Arizona, right? Philly fans were buying the tickets in Arizona.
Yeah, I was talking about that yesterday. They bought up tickets and they left them empty.
Yeah.
Not so they could go.
No.
Just so other people wouldn't. Because in that, so Philly to just steal the joy. Thief of joy.
I love that
the
kind of
most Philly
pettiness.
thing. I love the petty
Fantastic.
Olympics. Yeah. That is something you would do.
Oh, God, yes. If I had all kinds of money, yeah.
You just buy tickets and be like,
donate them to somebody? No. Leave them empty.
Yeah, just not going to go.
Just a whole section empty.
So brutal. Well, that's what Charlie Sheen did. Charlie Sheen bought an entire section of tickets. I can't remember who it was for, but he wanted to get a home run ball.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do the math.
So he, instead of being like, was it Hampel? Zach Hampel,
he
the
just
home
got
run
somebody else's first home run
guy's
ball.
Such a D-bag. But he, instead of going all Hampel and doing like the math on it all, he was just like, no.
I'll buy the whole section, then I don't have to worry about it.
Buying it all. And I'm just going to wait for one to fall to me.
What if you had like Bezos money and you just want